Hey, hi. I just recorded the stuff about being my mom's rescuer by making those phone calls and protecting my brothers and all that nonsense. And that was a little rough on me, I gotta say. But I'm okay today. I mean, it's just a fact of history. But that just because I tell it doesn't mean I have to relive it and own it. And that took a lot of work and lots of people listening to my need for counsel. But I got it done and I'm okay. That was part of my history and I can talk about it in a healthy manner. And like I said in the very beginning, in my intro, and throughout, is that I just want to encourage people that are in the middle of that, navigating that they can come out on the other side and still have some semblance of a decent life. I'm not living at the top of some mansion, but I'm not sleeping under a bridge either. So I'm somewhere in the freaking middle. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about Camp Garfield and I believe it was the Boys Club or the Boys and Girls Club, however it was back then, was sponsoring a camp where you go for a whole week and you're away from your family. And I believe it was fifth grade. So went to Camp Garfield and like I had never, besides being at my Grams or my Aunt Mare's or in my Aunt Mill's house, I had never been like, that time in your life. Remember, do you remember the time you first slept your first night away from home? And it was like, so here's these bungalows, cabins, whatever, and there's nothing in them. I mean, there's no lights. There's just bunk beds built into the sides of the walls, and I guess there was, da da da. I want to say probably four on this side, or maybe six on this side, two or three in the back for the counselors, and then the same thing on the other. And that was it. You brought your stuff in, and lights out meant the light outside was going out. You were doing activities, and they had a beautiful lake, and we hiked around it. The sad part of this is that I didn't have a whole lot of money. I believe the camp was $15 or $20 for the week because it was subsidized by the city of Garfield and the Boys and Girls Club. And everybody else had new backpacks, not back, yeah, backpacks and sleeping bags and stuff. And I kind of had like hand me down stuff, and I didn't have nice clothes. I mean, thank God I had a personality because I think it saved me from all the, kerfuffle. And so what happened is that I got kind of tagged the name Ragdoll, and that may not sound too bad, Ragdoll, the cute little dolls, Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy, but that's not what they meant by it. There was a song out at the time by a band called the Four Seasons, and it was called Ragdoll. Such a pretty face should be dressed in lace, you know, and it was sort of a slam. And the camp counselor is the one that dubbed that for me. I don't think she meant any harm, but it did harm me because I kind of got like, that's the poor kid. And that stuck to me for years, that poverty mentality. Oh my gosh. Pow, pow, pow for whoever puts that on a kid. Don't do that. Don't do that to kids because that poverty mentality will stay with you for a lifetime unless you're like me and you fight it. No kidding. I got that from my mom, that fight stuff. And I didn't always have it because I kind of gave up sometimes. We'll talk more about that later. Anyway, I had fun there though. I found snakes and under rocks, like little baby snakes under the rocks. And the boys in the camp taught us how to lift up the rocks. And you know me, tomboy, I'm out there, gotta hang out. I don't, I didn't want to hang out with the older kids because they were snarky and like I said, I was the poor kid, but the boys didn't mind. I just tagged along, got dirty, picked up the fish. I wouldn't pick up a fish now, okay, please. I'm too dignified. But back then it was like there was a dead fish. I got picked it up, and I always wanted to be down by the lake where the boys were fishing. And I just a tomboy, I just loved it. I loved being outside. I loved all the muck and goo and putting worms on hooks. Now, don't ask me to put a worm on a hook nowadays. I basically had a pretty good time except for the ragdoll comment. Came back, had a tan. I had learned a lot of new things. The funniest, not the funniest, but the wildest thing I saw was a snake sleeping on these great big granite rocks. And where the camp was, it was up in northern New Jersey somewhere. I couldn't even tell you where. Um, but it had like granite rocks, the great big ones that kind of break completely in half and they're smooth, but you can't really climb on them because you'll slip into the lake. but the snakes would come up in the midday and sleep on them. And it was the cool to me. I was like, wow, they're just laying there. You know, you could have just grabbed them if you dared. Anyway, that was Camp Garfield, and I'm at 5 minutes, and I'll see you guys in a minute. Oh, by the way, I still have my pink on. I just got chilly and I put my little jacket on. Okay, I guess that doesn't matter, but we're just being goofy. Hope we're having fun. All right, see you in a minute.